All right, everybody, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course, where we will unpause and repause. Have to do that every single day. Lots of good news today, actually. Quite a bit of it. Operation Arctic Frost has been cracked wide open like a walnut, so we're going to get into some detail there because we already knew that Arctic Frost was a thing. It's just that now they've revealed the full scope of it, and it actually involves TPUSA being investigated by the FBI as well. So this is fairly damning. Chuck Grassley came out and read that out, and that's big in the news at the moment. It's basically it was a hit job with a facade of trying to look into election integrity. Scott Jennings, left-wing radicalism is staring us in the face. Yes, I wanted to talk about how the left still hasn't come to terms with the fact that people are rejecting their arguments with regards to the killing of Charlie Kirk. What's happened is that instead of... they're just muddying the waters at this point. You've already got a motive. You already have a stated motive. It's there. It's plain to see. We know exactly, as far as that goes, generally speaking, what the general motive was. Now we have to pick apart the specific motive. Probably has to do with transgenderism. Ben and Jerry's having a problem here. Jerry has called it quits. He's a far leftoid, and Unilever said, well, you can't say certain things and do certain things. Because remember, they sold their ice cream company, I think first to Coca-Cola, and then it got sold to Unilever, if I remember correctly. I'm not 100% sure. But they've still remained basically associated with the brand. It's just that they don't get to call all of the shots, actually. They decided to sell out for a huge sum of money. I have no clue how much they made, but it's probably in the many tens of millions range. And so, yeah, there's that. It's funny, one of the first things that I saw in the Netherlands, actually, was a Ben & Jerry's sign. I was like, what? I thought it was mainly in the U.S., but apparently it's everywhere. Why an Epstein scandal could haunt Donald Trump's unprecedented trip to Britain. Pro tip, it isn't. Although it was funny at Windsor Castle there when they projected the image of Trump and Epstein shaking hands on the side of the castle. That was actually funny. I'm not offended. I found it humorous more than anything. This is some real-life shitposting right there. And then Brian Kilmeade of Fox News has apologized for saying that he wishes that mentally ill homeless people should be executed by lethal injection. Hypocrite hat off, all right? I know that some of you have a soft spot for Fox, but his comments went beyond the pale and he should be fired. So yeah, we'll get right into it. Oh, Anton is here. King Bildong. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sticks. I think I'll have Vegemite today instead of the Bovrite. I'm becoming a traitor. Well, actually, no, I should have the Marmite because Trump is currently in the UK and we're talking about Great Britain, so I should probably have the Marmite instead. They're all good. New York cheeseburger. Coliseum, though. Yeah, for people who are convicted of significant crimes, they should have a Coliseum system. Delicious. I've been saying that for years. Oh no, Marmite has a little bit of a weird, slightly bizarre aftertaste. A little bit bitter. I don't know why. Bovrite does it best. Super Kyle, the dirty finger. El Hasbra, bum fights. Yeah, I remember the fond era of bum fights back when I was in high school. That was an interesting time. People who think that the internet's edgy now have absolutely no clue what they're talking about. Before we get to the news, though, we're going to get to our sponsors. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills. These are nutraceutical supplements. I take one, sometimes two every day. One time I took 3. Had a little bit too much energy, I think, on that day. In fact, I'll take another one in a minute. Maybe mix it with some Bovrite and, shoot it down that way. Really good stuff. They've also got doggo snacks. These are made with activated biological material from organically grown mushrooms. Cordyceps, reishi, chaga, and some of these others. There are several different blends available. Secondly, BiltongUSA.com. Anton, already over there in Rumble chat. You can get delicious meat from him. You can get meat that's shredded. You can get meat in stick form. He's got Angus, Cabanassi, Wagyu, bison, all of the good stuff. That's what he's mainly known for. But he's extended his stock. I'm going to need to look into it and fire off a Twitter DM and ask for a couple of things, because there's new stuff available. And also, Stick, Sex, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts are available, along with, of course, Marmite, Vegemite, and Bovrite. Can't get enough of the Bovrite, by the way, myself. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is jamnbean.com, the home of the official Clank coffee, which is delicious. I just want to rub it all over myself, actually. Costa Rica blend's good, too. Oh, they're all good, but, I'm going to be partial to the one that's, partially named after my own brand. And also plenty of tea available, too. Caffeinated, uncaffeinated, all herbal and delicious. Copium poppies. If that California facial recognition bill passes, Trump should declare war on the state of California. I am not joking. Strip them of their statehood, invade, and occupy every state corner. That wouldn't be possible feasibly, but it would be funny. Every street corner, I meant. Or you could just say every corner of the state, Beast mode. Bobby Bobbinson created a Jeremy Poop channel, of course. Huh. I have no clue, dude. What is Arctic frost? Well, let me be short here as far as describing what the initial story, which is a cover story, was about. Initially, it was about looking into alleged interference by Trump and people associated with him in the 2020 election, in the dust-up that came thereafter, with regards to his phone call to the governor of Georgia, and so forth. Or was it the Secretary of the State of Georgia? I can't remember which one it was. Never mind. Originally, it was cast off as simply, hey, the FBI and so forth, we're going to look into if anyone meddled in the election illegally. Of course, they were only looking, though, as we now find out, at one side, not the other. Naturally, the winners didn't want to investigate themselves, but they did turn their cannons on a very large number of so-called right-wing groups, some of which are more steadfastly conservative than others. One of them, and this is probably why this is major news, one of them was TPUSA. That's Charlie Kirk's organization. The timing here is not coincidental, that they decided to hold this presser now after Charlie Kirk had died, because it gives them an extra shot in the locker, so to speak. But there were 92 different Republican groups and individuals that were specifically targeted. Now, we were not told that this was happening. We were not told that this was part of Arctic frost. We were told it's just to look into potential election interference, which is already damning enough anyway because it was always a witch hunt to begin with. But now we're finding that witch hunt was a lot larger. They were querying a lot more people to see if they were practicing dark magic, I suppose. But investigative steps taken, interviews, over 150 conducted, more than 50 additional interviews in the next 60 days. Subpoenas, over 400 served, 300 for witness testimony records, 200 selectors, 20 financial. Search warrants, 10 phones, 5 lawyers, 1 U.S. congressman, 2 White House, 20 other electronic devices, and 7 iClouds. 28 email accounts, 1 Twitter, which was President Trump's personal account. Now, we already knew this. That was more amusing than anything else. Troublesome? Yes. Amusing? Because they didn't find anything? Yeah, very amusing indeed. So we're finding out that private groups, news organizations, activistic fronts, organizers and stuff like that, student campus and Women for Trump sort of stuff, we're finding that all of them had a bunch of stuff swept up as part of this investigation. And it was done on purpose, by the way. This was not happenstance. It's not like what the NSA tried to say when they were uncovered doing the wiretapping thing. And you remember originally they said, well, no, Americans aren't being spied on. Oh, yeah, well, some of their data might be swept up, but it's inadvertent. They're talking to a foreign target. And then they finally had to admit, and eventually they will with this as well. No, it was on purpose. It was on purpose. Told them, sorry about that. Sorry, we violated the Fourth Amendment, among other things. Leah Wolf the Red, if the federal response to the left doesn't work, then what then? National divorce? No national divorce. What will work is a little bit of common sense and a lot of debate, which is what Charlie Kirk was trying to do, and he was succeeding. That's why he's dead. The Ringu Dinku. Have you heard of Demon Hunter and Starset? 2 new fantastic albums. No, I haven't actually. Taco Woman Sandy Ravage. ChatGPT says Assassin's text convo with lover is fake. Yeah, that's why we always take AI with a grain of salt. Love Doge, $10. Thank you. No comment. No, it's I do not believe that the text conversation is fake. It looks like the kind of thing that a couple of derps would be saying right after something like this. So, a meetup in Lake George. Yeah, I don't really do the meetup thing for the most part. I suppose I might do it sometime. I like to do my own thing. I like a lot of personal space. Scott Jennings, left-wing radicalism is staring us in the face. Just an extension of the Charlie Kirk thing. When Charlie Kirk was shot, the first reaction by leftoids was to laugh about it. They said, haha, it's funny, ding dong, the witch is dead, and stuff like that. The reaction was not very good. And then when we got more details, see, they jumped the gun. They were just celebrating, like, oh, Charlie Kirk said, ha ha, great. Probably hoping that the shooter would never be found, obviously. But what we then found out was that he had, anarcho-communist things etched on his bullets and, catch this fascist and stuff. We have several individuals that were associated with him that have confirmed he did indeed have views that were growing more far left. We then have the text conversation where he's talking about Charlie Kirk being full of hate and some levels of hate are not negotiable and stuff like that. This is a leftoid. Maybe not on every single issue. I had somebody earlier saying, oh, you liked guns, so therefore he's a right-winger. And I was like, okay, your cognitive dissonance has definitely kicked in. It was left-wing violence. It was definitely left-wing id-pol-style violence. An assassination for political reasons. We know this. The evidence is already there. Based on the fairly preliminary evidence that's already there, it's already known. What liberals are doing is trying to cast it off as though for some reason he was a MAGA supporter. They're sort of edging back away from that, though, because they realize, I think, that people find it ridiculous. And so now they're just trying to muddy the waters and saying, well, we don't know exactly what the motive is. Yeah, and every time that somebody wants to bash the fash, it's somebody with a MAGA hat on. No, it's left-wing violence. I know it. You know it. That's what caused it. Muddy Drip. Sticks, you need to do a video on the BS ADL political violence mainly comes from the right study. It's getting used widely right now. Yeah, the funny thing is that that's only the case if you cherry pick for certain types of violent crime and then you further cherry pick and you say, well, people that are in favor of, Islamic radicalism, that's basically a tradcon ideology, so they're right-wing too. I've seen that argued. I've seen some of the studies that you look at, like Hate Watch and stuff like that, they conflate Islamic violence with, like terrorist attacks or something like that. They'll call it right wing. And say, well, it's technically a right wing political ideology because it's religiously conservative. They've literally got that in their numbers. That's the only way in which they can actually get those numbers to work for them, which I find amazing. And that's the problem. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics. Most people aren't going to go to the sources. Most people aren't going to parse apart the data that they were actually collecting. Only the people that did the study or people who do a real deep dive do. And most people don't care enough. So when you inform them of this, their eyes glaze over and they say, well, that sucks, whatever. They don't even care. Drennan, left-hearteds. Your speech is violence. Also left-hearteds. We use violence to stop your speech. Yep, that's pretty much the lay of the land, I suppose. Timcast. FBI targeted Kirk confirmed. Well, I know that, yeah, the FBI absolutely. They targeted TPUSA for an extended period of time. He was on the shit list. That's why people like that, if they can't break through the algorithm like a goddamn sledgehammer, they get held back. Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a left-winger. We know this. It's sort of like you sit there guessing at what some object is when it's self-explanatory what it is. Like if I look at the cup over here, what is this thing? Well, it's white, much like the shooter, white supremacy. Oh, that doesn't work. Well, this part's kind of almost demonic looking. Maybe he was part of a cult. No, it's just a fucking cup. it's a left-wing cup in this case. Yeah. It's self-evident. Then you see that attack in Pittsburgh overnight. The dude, Henry, what's his name there? He plowed his car into the front gate of the FBI field office, then draped a U.S. flag over it and then ran off, saying incoherent things. Apparently, update, he's a military veteran known to have mental issues. So it might have been politically motivated, but in a nutty sort of schizoid way, maybe. We're not sure. We don't have all the details yet. The local Wendigo, the FBI or police has mugshots of clearly not white people, but they're listed as white. It's not just cherry picking, they are straight up lying to us. Yes, the crime statistics are badly botched in the United States. And by badly, I mean real badly. Kay Backwater, please talk about COSA and Screen Acts in Congress. Yes, several acts are moving forward in Congress that are basically doppelgangers of what I discussed this morning from California. Which is their act to basically force facial recognition, a sort of quasi-internet ID, and things like that, and forcing companies, by the way, that do business in California to adopt these policies, wherein your operating system, whether it's phone, laptop, doesn't matter, apps, if they're going to be on the App Store, if you're providing apps, so your Google, Microsoft, something like that, then on Apple, then automatically you're going to be enrolled in this involuntary system whereby your users can be spied on more easily. Now, companies will roll over and go along with it because as long as they're getting a kickback, they don't give a shit as long as they're making money. They know they've got a duopoly with regards to the App Store, basically. They've got a virtual monopoly over everything, operating systems and so forth. So, once that's, implemented, it's going to be more and more difficult for people to actually have online privacy. They're already trying to do this with websites as well. You look at COPPA and things like that. What we should just do is kick everyone under 18 off of the internet entirely and it'd be a better world. Then we adults could have rampaging conversations and say crazy shit, and you wouldn't have to worry about kids being around. Ban kids from the internet. We'll have a separate internet called KidNet or something like that, and all it is like, My Little Pony bullshit. Oh wait, the adults would probably pour over onto that too, the perverts, so that's probably a bad idea. That should just be banned straight out. Copium Poppies, dill pickle flamin' hot Cheetos. Not a big fan of Cheetos myself. Ben & Jerry's co-owner Jerry Greenfield quits over claims brand silenced on social issues. Cohen's shared a statement from Greenfield that said quitting was one of the hardest and most painful decisions he'd ever made as he accused Unilever of curtailing the ice cream maker's ability to speak out on social issues. Standing up for the values of justice, equity, and our shared humanity, he's a far leftoid. He's pure like Bernie Vermonter. Has never been more important, yet Ben & Jerry's has been silenced, sidelined for fear of upsetting those in power, Greenfield said in the statement. And it's happening at a time when our country's current administration is attacking civil rights, voting rights of immigrants. Voting rights of immigrants. Okay. Women and the LGBTQ community. It's with a broken heart that I've decided I can no longer in good conscience and after 47 years remain an employee of Ben & Jerry's, he added. Now keep in mind, he's more than an employee. He's one of the founders of the company that was sold to Unilever with the understanding that he and Ben would still be aboard generally with the project. Because, number one, it's good for branding, they're the face of the ice cream. And number two, because it's contractual. But they should have read the contract a little bit more, it seems, because it seems like they had the idea, that, and they've sued Unilever a couple of times, by the way. They've sued them. It seems that they were under the delusion that they would have executive power over the company that they had just sold. Pro tip, if you're going to sell your company or something like that, make sure to lock things down and double read them double. So, quadruple read that shit. Especially if it's high profile, like Ben & Jerry's is a fairly big brand, so Copium Poppies, they don't taste like Cheetos. I'll take sour cream and onion Ruffle chips. Ruffles have ridges. And then I'll make my own sour cream and onion mix. My secret ingredient, I add fenugreek to it. But only use a pinch, because if you use more than that, it'll overrun the flavor. It's very, very powerful and highly underrated. You see almost no recipes outside of certain like Asian recipes stuff that use much fenugreek. I love it. I think it's sort of like cilantro. Some people swear it tastes like soap. I don't personally. I don't taste any soapy flavor. I get an undescribable, not minty, herby. I don't know exactly how to describe it as far as I can taste it. But some people say it tastes like dish soap or something like that. With fenugreek, it's also an unidentifiable flavor. It's just, it tastes like fenugreek. There's nothing that really fully compares to it. Yes, snakes bleed red. Sour cream dip for sour cream and onion chips? Abso-fucking-goddamn-lutely. Oh, yes. Fennel. Yes, fennel is good. Another one, tarragon. Excellent. Next time you saute onions and garlic, add a little bit of tarragon to it. And tell me that that isn't the best scent that you've ever smelled. You got to make sure to be sauteing it in butter. Don't use an oil for that. Because that'll add a little bit of a subtlety to the scent as well. Yeah, it's really, really great. Oh, and caraway. A lot of bakers will be, presumptively aware of the existence of caraway, but it is my absolute secret special weapon when I'm making Greek pasta. If I'm making a Greek-style pasta with all the vegetables and stuff in it, and nice and herby and nice vinaigrette to go over it, I will always add caraway to the dressing. Which reminds me, I need to buy more caraway. It got lost. I had a full thing of it up there, and it's not there anymore. Cooking Inferno. Tarragon is underutilized as well. Absolutely. You have to make sure that you wouldn't want to put it in most dishes because, again, it has a fairly powerful flavor. Unless you're sauteing it down so that you're getting like a more subtle sort of tarragon-ishness. The bomb squad is at TPUSA headquarters right now. Oh, yeah. Breaking news. Suspicious bag found outside TPUSA HQ. Let's hope it's just somebody got high on crack and left their luggage. Police said it is believed that there is no threat to the public, so that's good. It could literally be just some drifter, got high and wandered off and left their bag there. Now everyone's talking about snapping the noodles. Well, with Greek pasta, I will always use typically just smaller pastas. You can use like the mini shells or pretty much anything. I suppose you could make it with like spaghetti noodles if you wanted to, but I'm not sure why you would want to. You have to make it al dente. And it's always better after being chilled the second day. It is always better the second day. With double the feta that the average person puts in it, and several types of olives. Spike, tarragon is what they used at Kenny Rogers Roasters. That place was amazing. Kenny Rogers Chicken Roasters. Cock-a-doodle good, as Mad TV would put it. Ramon CGTC, do you like culantro or cilantro better? I've never heard of culantro. I'm assuming that's some sort of a joke. Cyberrunner, almost 30-minute stream and not one mention of Israel. Well, they've invaded Gaza during a famine, so yeah, it's not a good time for anyone over there, I think. Gaza is basically a wasteland. The Israelis have basically destroyed it. It's clear that annexation is the goal. I don't think that there's actually going to be any form of peace deal. I don't think that they're going to go for it. I think that they're just going to occupy it, and then they'll claim credit for rebuilding it probably. But, it'll actually be the U.S. that has to do that because Israel doesn't have enough money of its own. So we're going to be funding that for a long time. Why an Epstein scandal could haunt Donald Trump's unprecedented trip to Britain. Yes, it's unprecedented. This is the first time that a U.S. president has gone to the UK for 2 state visits, actually. Of course, he was both the 45th and 47th president, so I guess they made a little bit of an aside there for him. In real terms, I think the reason why they wanted to summon him there a second time and give him the full royal regalia and everything like that, and apparently it took 5 days just to make the table for the state dinner function. The British royalty does love their finesse. There's no doubt about that. We've seen that for a long time. But Donald Trump was trolled almost immediately by somebody taking a projector and putting an image of Trump and Epstein shaking hands on the side of Windsor Castle as a form of protest. And there were large-scale protests. I would point out that the legacy media is more fixated on the much smaller protest against Trump visiting than the very much anti-left, anti-woke protest that happened only a few days ago, which drew, according to official sources like The Guardian, they're an official source of reality, 110,000 people. They say only 110,000 people showed up. Oh shit, that's one big hell of a rally already. But it was more than 110,000. When I looked at it and eyeballed it, I figured 200 to 250,000, possibly 300. It stretched on for a considerable distance. You can tell this by the stadium that they're crowded around right in the middle. It holds 90,000 people. The crowd outside dwarfs that. That alone would be 110,000 people just in that one square. And then they extended block after block after block after block for, I don't know, a mile, maybe a mile and a half or something like that. But anyway, Donald Trump probably rolled his eyes when he heard the news. I don't know if he saw the projection or not. He probably rolled his eyes and he's like, who cares? Yes, I was friends with Jeffrey Epstein half a decade before he was found guilty of anything. There's that dinging sound again. There's some sort of device out there that randomly makes dinging noises at random times. I think somebody lost some sort of device in the couch or some shit. Dine asked, are you saying that tarragon is a paragon? I'm saying that tarragon is perfect in every way. And is a totally underutilized herb, by the way. So yeah, Trump gets a second state visit. Leftoids are naturally delighted about this. It was funny, too. Because then you have like new polling in. Oh, Labor is going to get crushed over there. The left is getting run underfoot, which is good. I'm just hoping for, those of you who are in Britain, I wish you well, myself as an American. I'm not British. But if the country is going to function better than it is now, you don't just need to have the right taking over, the adults back in charge. You need to make sure it's the right adults. So people that aren't going to sell out and just do stupid things. And then the left just comes back in saying, look at all the stupid things they're doing. Just forget about the stupid things that we did. What you need is a sane government. One that actually gives a damn. There aren't many of those in the world. Jack of all trades, Anna Radiatori, pasta stuff's amazing. Yeah, pasta's good. Greek or Italian style, I don't care. Ramon C, GTC, cilantro and coriander leaf. It is used in sofrito. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, cilantro is coriander. Coriander seeds, which I've got some of them. You make sure to keep them fresh. Don't get crushed coriander, by the way. It'll lose its savor pretty quickly. What you do is you get the whole seeds and then you get a mortar and a pestle. I've got a nice big one in the other room. Maybe I should show it off tomorrow. It's a big stone one. It's like this big around. It's definitely not Jeb Bush's guacamole, which isn't even useful for making guacamole because it's like 3 inches across, so yeah, that's enough guacamole to feed one small Mexican child. My dad is big into complaining about politics. Like, he'll complain about the Democrats, then he'll complain about the Republicans. He's just sort of a contrarian nihilist more than anything. Yeah. Tarred and feather, dry herb shelf life about a year. If they're properly stored, they can last longer than that, actually. It kind of depends on the herb. I like to grow and prepare my own herbs. In fact, later on when I go out into the garden, I'm probably going to cut off all the marjoram and sage. And there's some thyme and a couple of others that are out there. And, of course, the garden bed got overgrown because I was absent for a while. And then I had too much to do much gardening. But I'm starting to clear it out. The peach tree did survive and looks fine. I'm going to water it again today because it's been quite a drought. I think we're now in an intermediate drought now. Fox News Brian Kilmeade, apologies for saying mentally ill homeless people should be executed. Yeah, he got in some trouble a few days ago with regards to this. So this is about the Zarutska stabbing by DeCarlos Brown Jr. And he said basically, well, if they don't accept mental health services, then they should just be arrested. Or involuntary lethal injection or something, he said. Just kill them. If this were on CNN or MSNBC or something, a lot of people would be saying, okay, that goes beyond, he should be fired. I'm not, unfortunately, seeing quite as much outrage among people on the right with regards to what he's saying here. That's a terrible idea. You're going to give the state the power to randomly execute people because they're nutty? Not everyone who's nutty and mutters to themselves while wandering around in the alley is going to stab people. There's a difference between, and the founders, by the way, would agree with me with this. There's a difference between a criminal lunatic, someone given over to violence, violent ideologies and actions and so forth, who is nuts, like completely loopy, and someone who back then would have been conceived of as odd or eccentric, or I guess something wrong with them. They're not going to be a member of the militia because they may not understand how to operate a musket or something, but you wouldn't kill them. You wouldn't even lock them away in the asylum unless they became a problem. This is the model we should generally follow. It's like if you go to Europe, for example, public intoxication in Europe is generally unregulated. You can go down the street, and I did, trust me, in Amsterdam with a Heineken in your hand and chug that, throw it in, and most people throw it on the ground. I don't understand why the Dutch are such bad litter bugs, by the way. You get a nice country and you're cluttering it up with Heineken bottles, basically, and Jack Daniels and stuff. And then grab another one, you can get sauced. Unless you're causing problems for other people, so you're staggering around in traffic, you're berating people, you're making weird noises, passing out in the street. Unless you're doing that, it's legal, actually, in Europe, and in most parts of the world, actually. Only here in the United States do we tell people, hey, you're not allowed to carry that beer around in public. Unless it's on Bourbon Street, then apparently it's perfectly okay. No, I do not believe that you should kill mentally ill people. And then you have to use the arbitrary definition of what is conceived of as mentally ill. Does this mean someone with depression? Well, they might hurt themselves with a knife, but they're probably not going to stab somebody randomly. Do you mean schizophrenics? Well, they're inversely correlated with violence. Do you mean people with ADHD? Little Jimmy got diagnosed 20 years ago. Now he's got to go to the insane asylum or they're going to, shoot him up full of death medicine. It makes absolutely no sense. Pre-59 Cuban, Netherlands canals full of bikes and stolen safes. Yes. I actually saw one of the trucks lifting bikes out of the canal once, and I was like, what the hell is going on? That was back when I was in Demon. And they had a truck with a little lift, and they were pulling bikes out. They had like a cart behind it filled full of broken bikes. The Dutch fucking love those bikes. Spike, I guess that proves the right doesn't really watch Fox News as the left is always screaming about. Yeah, some people apparently didn't even get the memo that this had happened. I think that Fox is just as bad as the rest of the legacy media, number one. And I think that Kilmeade, by the same standards that we would apply to, Joy Reid or something like that, they should be applied to him. Insane hippie insane. Peace with the PA. A Marxist-Leninist group that runs cover for an Islamic terrorist group was never going to be possible. Ew. Dab Shank the First. Trump is proving that he is the American version of Julius Caesar. Baron is Augustus. He will bring us Pax Americana. Yeah, if Baron Trump gets into politics, which I doubt that he will, it'd be quite something. I have a feeling that here's sort of the Trump family. Trump is, of course, the kingpin and the president. And he has his bride, Melania, and she's sort of the homemaker and was busy raising Barron, actually, till he was, an adult and stuff. So she's first lady. And then you have Don Jr., he's kind of the troll. Ivanka, she's sort of the stylist, sort of like the celeb side, like pure celeb and married to Kushner, of course. Then you have Eric. He appears to be the one that's more all business all the time. I think in the business sense, he takes after his dad the most. Barron, I think, because he's so young, basically, I think Eric's going to run things, and then Barron will end up running them. Unglued Arts mailed you a package from Washington 444. Hope it makes it to you. Thank you. I'm sure that it will. Brock Sampson 71. We are subservient to Israel, and citizens can't do anything about it. We will forever fund them at the expense of our taxpayer dollars. Disgraceful. Clockwork Lemon, Uday and Kusei. Oh, this is a good one. I held several aside here. I only wanted to list out the first 5 because I didn't know how long it would take me to get through some of them. Manchin says he wanted the GOP to win the Senate to stop Democrats' quest for raw political power. Oh, Manchin just sideswiped them. Former Democrat turned independent senator accuses Schumer of pursuing votes to prove loyalty to radical left in new memoir. Yeah, Manchin is really funny. Him and Sinema basically rocking the boat of the Democratic Party. Schumer has long been generally in line with the liberal agenda, but he has his reservations about certain things. Part of it is self-serving. For example, when Biden wanted his, infrastructure deal and AOC and the other, huffers, they wanted to put the Green New Deal bullshit into it. He balked at that and he told people, I can't vote for it in its current form. I can't vote for this because it'll be bad for the economy and makes no sense. Now, he said to the people of West Virginia that he represents, supposedly, that he would never vote for it. It was inconceivable, anything close to its current form, because of the cost, mainly, but also because of the environmental stuff. But the cost was the big part. And he assured the people of his state that he wouldn't vote for it. And then he voted for it. After several months of holding behind closed doors meetings, I don't know what Manchin got out of it behind the scenes. I'm assuming a payoff of some sort. After that, he finally voted for it, putting it over the edge so that it could be signed. And then his approval cratered by 20 points or something like that. It was pretty miserable times for him. I think he figured, I'm on the older side. I'm gonna be leaving probably after this term anyway. So let's fry things up a little bit. You can't make an omelet without cracking a few eggs. So now he's, against the Biden regime and its particular ideas, and against other things as well that the Democratic Party is trying to push. I think he's also said a few words with regards to the liberal movement praising Charlie Kirk's death, actually. Fetterman did. Fetterman came out and had another, rare lucid moment. Taco Woman Sandy Ravage. Have you ever read about armed queers of Salt Lake City? No, I've never heard of that at all. Here, just a sec, I have a call coming in. Yeah, I just told him I'd call back. Armed queers. Huh. No, I've never heard about that at all. Fear-mongering predictions about climate change keep falling apart. Oh, you should read this article. Just look that up on the New York Post. It was posted a couple of days ago. So I figured I'd go through it. Really, when we look at all of the predictions that were made by climate alarmists throughout time, virtually all of them have not come true. About the only thing that's come true is, hey, CO2 levels are rising. It doesn't appear to have caused any major catastrophes. I know that supposedly hurricanes and stuff like that are impacted by marginally higher levels of CO2. It doesn't really seem to be borne out by the data. For example, coral cover is now much higher than it's been in a while. It's growing, actually. The ice caps, while they are declining, have led to more sea ice. I believe that this will cause a feedback mechanism, which could be unhelpful, actually, but I don't believe that human activity is responsible for it. All of the deforestation and acid rain and stuff like that, acid rain was taken care of mostly by environmental projects, real ones, by the way, not bullshit ones like carbon credits. And reforestation is now happening. I was told that the deserts would spread out and all the trees would fall to the axe, and because of your SUV, we're all going to be on Tatooine. That simply has not happened. In fact, this world would be more habitable if it was warmer and more CO2 rich. Warmer, more CO2 rich, more water available for flowing because it's not locked up as ice, equals a more habitable zone for most living species on the planet. Now, will some get pushed aside? Yeah, extinction happens all the time. Species go extinct every day. And guess what? Virtually all of the species that were around a few 100,000 years ago are extinct. We've created, new subspecies and shit like that just through agriculture and selective breeding and things like that. And humans are the only force in the world that's capable of saving some of these endangered species. If anything, we're keeping them on life support because it's nature that's trying to kill them. We're taking species that are incapable of adapting to, whatever new climate they find themselves in. Keep in mind that the Roman Empire still existed back when the last mammoths died. They went extinct. Romans didn't kill them off, despite having quite a bit of industry and so forth. I believe in real environmentalism, not this bullshit. For instance, there's a quote here. The first well-known environmental scare story was the 1968 book Population Bomb, which warned that the global population was out of control and argued for widespread forced sterilization. Given the inevitability of hundreds of millions of hunger deaths, the book also argued we should just stop food aid to basket cases like India. I'm sure there are some people out there that agree with both of those proposals, by the way. In 1972, Limits to Growth projected that food scarcity and pollution would cause global collapse. Time magazine predicted a future with a few gaunt survivors desperately tilling freeway center strips in what used to be Los Angeles. The world would run out of everything from aluminum and iron to oil and food, which did not happen, or hasn't happened yet. So at least we've got some more time. Yeah, climate alarmism has become a problem because it's think of the children. Whenever they're like, oh, a disaster is impending, we must do something, when a disaster has not happened and people can't clear their heads, then you get opportunists within politics and craftivistic groups and stuff, and corporations as well to an extent, that are trying to peddle more authoritarianism, more taxes, more regulations, etc., most of which we do not need. There's no reason, for example, why people should be unable to grow a front yard garden. There's no reason why a member of the militia should not be able to own a modern weapon, and so forth. All of these bad laws are predicated on people's fear and anger, negative emotions, nothing more. They're monosyllabic laws, you could call them. The Point and Grunt Act. From now on, all legislation must be translated into whatever language gorillas use, because, we want to be inclusive. Green Text Pro, free sticks, books, and prizes for our top posters on clankers.net. We're also awarding a prize to Chatroom Kang. Come vie for the title at our virtual event this Sunday evening. Join us! Clankers.net. Join us! Join us! Good movie, by the way. King of Biltong. King of Biltong sent a super chat. Did you know we also specialize in imported foods? Check out the updates to Biltong USA for a great selection of food items and, of course, Biltong. www.biltongusa.com. Code STICKS for 10% off Biltong. And both right. Yeah, once that's done, I crack the next one open. Based acid fox. Point and grunt is how I talk to people from West Virginia. Yeah, that big fat YouTuber, whose channel's gone now, that died recently, Simply Sarah's Kitchen. She was from West Virginia. Considering her dietary choices, it's not necessarily confusing. No offense to West Virginia. Actually, I've considered moving there because it looks pretty cool. It's like perfect climate for a mountain boy like me. But some of the food down there is not necessarily the healthiest, I'm just saying. Yeah, the Riffler. I'm from West Virginia. Fuck you. Yeah, West Virginia's cool. So is John Denver. Taco Woman Sandy Ravage. Armed Queers of SLC is part of the national network on Cuba, whose mission it is to take Cuba off the U.S. state-sponsored terrorism list. They're currently under investigation in relation to the shooter. I highly doubt that the Cubans were involved with this. And I also don't really believe in keeping Cuba on the terrorist list. You know, the Bay of Pigs and the Cold War ended a while ago. I mean, technically we do have a new Cold War. Well, it's just a continuation of the one that was ongoing and just simmering. But no, I don't feel that Cuba is particularly a threat to the United States. Sigil, that's because Fallout 76 is non-canonical in my opinion and has nothing to do with the main franchise. Man, I loved Fallout 3 back in the day, and I still love it now. I'm gonna get some Fallout 3 and heavily mod it so that it's like a modernized game or something. God, Bobby, you're obsessed with the quartering. Greenland's defenses are being bolstered against Russia and China, but Trump may be the real target. By the way, if you actually lie by structure, whoop whoop, alarm going off. If you look through it, this is a claim by one particular military official that actually Denmark is... They never state that the Danes are actually legit worried that Trump is going to invade Greenland. Are you fucking crazy? Trump has talked about attempting to establish sovereignty for the Greenlanders. And in fact, actually several U.S. agents were arrested, well, detained in question, for involvement in trying to foment exactly that. How is this outside of the purview of what the U.S. is supposed to be? You've got a colonial territory from a faraway country in a different continent that is being held for ransom, basically, by the Danes. Yes, they defend it, but then Greenland basically is underdeveloped. It's got a shit ton of resources that could make every Greenlander filthy rich, but they're not extracting them. They don't have the investment potential, and they don't have the will to do so, because they're part of the EU, so there are stringent rules on oil and gas development and things like that. So Greenland basically is for fishing, tourism, ice. That's basically what's there. There are so many things that could make Greenlanders 10 times as wealthy as they are right now. With the proper investment. The United States is the only Western nation that has enough money to actually make that kind of thing work. I don't think that, the French aren't going to go in and do it. The Germans aren't going to go in and do it. They've got their own problems. The English, the British, I don't think that they're particularly interested. Trump is interested. But this is not going to be like a shooting war scenario. The idea that we would go to war with a fellow NATO member in order to grab up a big island with 55,000 inhabitants, that's not going to happen. Although, if Greenland does gain independence, and they were to petition to become a U.S. territory pending possible statehood, yeah, I would accept that absolutely. It sounds great. It'd be wonderful. China's being expansionist. They gobbled up Hong Kong, and they're trying to gobble up Taiwan. Why can't we get in on the game? If we don't do it, nobody will. You're going to see another colonial era fairly soon, I believe. Thankfully, I believe that we're actually in a fairly good striking position. Not just on this issue, but on many others. I think that if we play our cards right, we will prevail. Copium Poppies, don't kill the sheriff in Megaton in Fallout 3, at least early on. You get a cool jacket, but pretty sure you miss out on certain elements of the game, and you don't get to take over as sheriff. Yeah, I don't kill the sheriff. One time I went on a Megaton rampage, and one of the first things that I did was chop up Moira with a chainsaw, with the little saw weapon, and chopped her limbs and her head off, and I started tossing her off the balcony. It was pretty fun. Moira, universally rated as one of the most annoying characters in gaming history. BW, Trump is meeting with King Mama's boy today. Ha, yeah. Ben Bacon, why is alcohol legal when it's toxic, but opium is not? Yeah, good question. Why is that? Could it be because the U.S. has a substantial capability for growing fruits and grains to make beer, wine, and liquor, but it doesn't really have the kind of climate that would be necessarily in most areas conducive to opium poppies? Probably. Also, we never got in on the game because we got priced out of the market by cheap opium from South Asia. So, well, Central Asia. Salty Reese's Cup. John Denver was not cool. He was a drunk who endangered people with his driving and flying. Lucky the only person he killed was himself. Yeah, he was a notorious alcoholic, but Country Roads is a great song, just saying. Be funny to try actual moonshine. Like the stuff that you get in the stores that's called moonshine, I'm assuming that probably it isn't actual moonshine. Saw that years ago, and I was like, oh, nice. And then I had a drink that was, again, a few years ago, but it tasted good, but I don't know. Didn't, I'm assuming that it's a different flavor if it's commercially made. Crispy Sticks, are you worried about the midterms? No, not really. Not at this point. It's still too far out. We don't know what the hell is going to happen in the next few months. Wait until next year, and then we can start worrying if things look like they're going to go south. Grant Paul, if you pay tax, it ain't shine. Yeah, that's my suspicion, exactly. Copium Poppies. Now, Moira had some good quests to gain XP and was a good way to unload supplies when over encumbered. Yeah, I know, and stuff, but, she still got annoying. Never did the Dream Crusher thing, where you convince Moira to, give up on her quest. And that's the reason, because you got, a lot of XP for it. And some of them were easier than others. Like with the Mirelurk mission, the first time I went through it, I thought that it was when you have to plant the thing in the nest, the receiver. The first time was hard because I stopped to fight the Mirelurks and stuff. But then the next time I went through, I thought to myself, can't I just fucking outrun them, plant it, and then immediately leave and run away? Well, mission accomplished, I didn't even have to get in any fights. Unless they block the doorway, then you might have to blow somebody's head off. Bobby is just out there to shitpost. I admire your shitposting stamina, Bobby. I do have to admit that. Jimmy Kimmel suggests Charlie Kirk assassin was one of those MAGA gang, despite reports of leftist leanings. I don't even understand exactly what he's trying to do here, because he's going to have egg on his face. I assume he believes that his audience is too stupid to, recognize that he was wrong when you've got indisputable proof. Right now, we've got good evidence. We've got enough evidence to put together a legal case declaring this person to be left-wing. Then they'll probably try to shift the definition of left-wing. Well, he was fucking a trans dude. He was fucking his boyfriend in the ass. Or maybe he was getting fucked in the ass. Who knows? Maybe they did both. He's 69. With a little bit of mud on the helmets. It made it taste better. It looked like both right. We don't know. And he was saying, take this fascist and, anarcho-communist lyrics on his bullet casing and stuff like that. But he liked guns. And everyone knows that only people on the right like guns. Now, don't they, Jimmy? I don't even know what he's getting at this point. And this is now the second time that he's weighed in on this issue like a moron. And it is moronic. What the fuck? Ben Bacon, we need to legalize opium as a society. We can't live on the weakness of weed and toxic alcohol forever. Yeah, I believe that opium should be legal. I think that basically, if you're not causing a problem, you should be able to do what you want to do. So if somebody wants to smoke opium in their bedroom, that's fine. If they've got a kid they're watching over something, okay, that's child neglect / child abuse. If they're driving, that's DUI and recklessness, criminal recklessness. If they're bothering people on the street, then that's disorderly conduct. Those don't require drugs to occur, by the way. Well, DUI does, but the others, they don't require drugs to be involved for the crime to be alleged. I think that if somebody's on their own property, minding their own business, they should be able to do whatever the hell they want to do. And if we legalize these things, they'd be getting these drugs from more liable people than a bunch of fucking cartel members. And it would help with the border crisis. Why would you run drugs into a country where all the drugs are legal? You know, why would you do that? It wouldn't, who gives a shit? Legalize all drugs and retain the laws that are already on the books with regards to intoxication, aggravation of charges, and so forth, like they do with alcohol. They already do it with alcohol. With alcohol, you're allowed to go to the store and buy beer. You can take the beer back home. You can drink the beer. And then if you're on Bourbon Street, you can just drink it out in the open, and apparently nobody does anything about it, even though it's technically illegal. Trust me, 50% of the people there are on some sort of substance, and it ain't always just alcohol, by the way. You see some shit, let me tell you. And in New York City, by the way, as well, especially in the subway regions. But if somebody just wants to use it on their own, so there's no dependent around them, like, you know, they've got an invalid relative, they've got a kid around, so that's not the problem. They're on their own property, in their own apartment, in their own home, on their lawn, whatever. They're not raising a ruckus, they're not yelling at people and throwing shit at them or anything like that. Who cares? Who cares? I don't give a shit. I don't care if they, boof fentanyl and they just die in a heap. Well, that's one less moron in society that, I don't believe in, unlike that dude from Fox News, Kill Me, I don't believe in killing these people. I think generally they're going to kill themselves anyway through poor actions. Well, there we go. TGI Jeff, Sticks, I've been taking Kratom once a day, every day since 2014. Am I fucked? Well, if it's only once a day, that wouldn't be a severe addiction. What I would suggest is if you don't need it, then stop taking it. Kratom can be very, very valuable as a withdrawal treatment for people who have been strung on other opioids that are more powerful. But it itself is addictive, albeit on a much milder level. Yankee Northwest, visiting Vermont with my wife for the first time in years. Going to be in the Warren area. Is Stowe worth a visit for a day, or is it too libtarded? Oh no, Stowe is definitely worth a visit, yeah. Yeah, I would see Stowe, and if you get down to the southern end, you stop in at Rutland to get gas, and go to Loose Luna if they're open, and get food there. Trust me, you'll love it. And then you should head on down to like Bennington, see the Bennington Monument and stuff. Really historical city. Randall Flagg, I think you mentioned on Monday you think Palantir is another bloated governmental contact, aka vaporwave. Wasn't Palantir supposed to prevent the shooting, yet the FBI was clueless? Short the stock. Yeah, I know. I don't think I said that, though, the other day. You might be thinking of a different live stream. I don't think I mentioned Palantir at all, did I? Maybe I forgot. Tarred and Feathered, the Witchboard 2025 movie was written for Sticks. Huh. Let me look it up. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Dude there on the front looks a little bit like me, actually. Yeah, if you ever go to Loose Luna here in Rutland, Vermont, look up at the ceiling above the stairs and tell me what you see. Ty 8705. Wasn't Palantir the same name used in Lord of the Rings? Those all-seeing balls? Yes, which is totally not creepy, by the way. Oh, Vaporware. Yeah, not Vaporwave. Vaporwave music, by the way, is pretty good. I've got a site here. It's got like all sorts of weird musical genres on it. It's just like, it's badly formatted, and I don't know exactly how they formatted it this way, but there's like probably several thousand. This was submitted the other day in chat, actually, and it's got like amazing number of subgenres and sub-subgenres, and then bands linked to those sub-subgenres. Loose Luna, Loose. It's a restaurant here in Rutland. Really, really good food, by the way. Strongly recommend the soup if they're selling the minestrone that day. That was pretty good. The lentil I wasn't quite as much of a fan of. And they got all sorts of other stuff. They've got these little blue cheese crostinis. They're kind of messy and syrupy, but they're delicious. One of the best foods I've ever had, actually. Copium Poppies. Does Loose Luna have beef curtains? No, they don't have any beef dishes as far as I know. It's mostly like a tea and coffee cafe sort of feel there. But it's really, really good. Like the food is definitely handmade. Yeah, the blue cheese crostinis are good. They have various sandwiches and then the soup. There's tea. You can get nettle tea there, by the way, which is really good. It's also very good for you, filled with iron, actually. Filled with iron and also rich in protein. Like, nettles are basically like the meat of the vegetable world when you think about it. Yes, Sigil, I'm aware of what beef curtains are. Believe it or not, I've been on the internet for some time. Ellen DeGeneres is being sued, by the way, everyone. Apparently, back in 2023, she T-boned a car at an intersection because she didn't slow down for the stop sign, causing injury to the other individual which she impacted. Now she's being sued in a civil lawsuit. One thing, why would you wait that long? I would think that you would file it a lot quicker than waiting a couple of years. But, I mean, it's still within the statute of limitations. Not that anyone cares about those these days anyway. Apparently civil suits can go forward 30, 40 years later as long as you say somebody sexually assaulted me. As long as you have a vagina, then it's okay. But yeah, she's being sued, and presumptively the lawsuit will end in a settlement. You've got a rich person, right, who has a bad reputation as being particularly like hog-like. DeGeneres, by all accounts, is a rather irrational, obsessive, and obnoxious individual who feels very, very much entitled. Apparently, according to this, apparently people who worked with her complained that if they tried to talk to her wife, Portia, that she would give them the death glare, like she felt threatened and stuff. So this is an egotistical strong armor, so to speak. Sort of the type of person that technically generally go into politics, actually. So she T-boned another car, allegedly. We got to gather evidence before you have an actual case. But yeah, she'll probably just settle out of court. She'll say, well, shit. My reputation gets shattered. Whether I get found, to be culpable or not here, the fact that the case exists at all for an extended period keeps it in the news, and therefore I lose regardless. Which would I rather do? Just pay this person money that to the average person would seem like a huge amount, like this person, but to me is a drop in the bucket because I've got like fucking 50 million bucks in my bank account right now? Or do I string it out, let my reputation take a pounding, might lose anyway, and have to pay out even more? It's going to end in a settlement. How much is her net worth? I know it's almost impossible to accurately look up the net worth of anyone online. Like, supposedly I'm worth 2 million bucks. Really wish that were the case. Let's put it that way. Let's see what we can find. What's her net worth? Oh, it's way more than I expected. It's supposedly about $500 million. Okay. Well, then, she could probably pay off a decent settlement. Just throw her 10 million bucks and tell her to go away. That's what I would do. Wouldn't you? All right, I screwed up. Here, look. Come on. I keep my reputation. You get fucking rich. It's like you won the lottery. Take the goddamn money. Can you imagine her and Portia in bed together? Like what they must get up to? Yeah, people call her Ellen DeGenerate because she is one. By all accounts, from most of the people who have talked about her, she was not a good person to have to work with. Like, would get threatening and aggressive, and I don't think she ever assaulted anyone, but she seems to have liked yelling at people, and if you crossed her in any way or failed in any way, she would, basically shitlist you. Adam Price, a tenth of Google reported net worth is the usual formula. Okay, so she's worth $50 million. Well, that's still a good chunk of change. She can still throw 10 at the problem. People are talking about dueling beef curtains and stuff. Did get an idea for a morbid story that involves someone with exceptionally saggy, like mutated labia, riding some dude's face, and then she wraps him around his head and suffocates him. Just saying. Don't worry, I don't fantasize about these things constantly, just when I'm in the right mood. It's hilarious. I like writing stories deliberately designed to make people feel disgusted and uncomfortable, because it's amusing to me. Easter Sunday, that sounds Lovecraftian. Exactly. My work is a mix of splatterpunk and Lovecraft, basically. Copium Poppies, pretty sure that's just basic bitch anime. Yeah, but when you get into the real descriptions in a literary form, it hits harder, actually, than seeing some fucking cartoon. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for some of you may have already read the first Morbid stories. I noticed the huge spike in book sales in the day that I released it and made the video for it. I'm hoping that you'll enjoy Morbid Stories 2 even more. I'm going out of my way to make it as grotesque, insane, violent, and depraved as possible, just for my own amusement. And also there's Nutty Norman, of course. Nutty Norman is one of my favorites that I've written. Even though it's a shorter work, it's more like sub-novella level. I thought that it was funny. This one is going to be about 350 pages long, and it's literally nothing but a wall of insanity. Basically, imagine listening to a Blackened Noise album or something like that. Ben Bacon, legalize opium now! I agree fully. Opium poppies, by the way, apparently grow wild in the Netherlands. There was a bank of them, actually, right outside the neighborhood I was living in Diemen. I'm like, what the hell? I look at the flowers and I'm like, this is an opium poppy. And at the time I'm like, damn, if I was like 20 again, guess what I'd be harvesting today? Get some of those tears, you know? Skippy, Styx's favorite movie is Teeth. I've never heard of it. Yeah. It's like with horror movies, I like them to be overmodulated. Like, I don't really need that much of a plot. You can keep it to the bare bones minimum and make it very formulaic. And as long as you have enough gore and make it interesting, I'll like it. Like, one of my favorite horror movies is the first Evil Dead from the early 80s. I didn't like the second one quite as much, although it was still good. But, I mean, what is it? It's a bunch of dismemberment and shit. And demons and crazy shit. Deadites. And, let's see, I liked the part, I think it was Wishmaster 2. You remember the part where the Wishmaster is in the prison cell? And then he's talking to the cop outside, the guard, and he's like, what would you wish for? And he's like, you know what I would wish for? Just 2 minutes in that cell alone with you. And he's like, wish granted. And then he shoves him, like, he's in the cell, and then the Wishmaster shoves him through the bars and flattens his head out and stuff. And he's leaking blood everywhere. I liked that. I like movies that are gritty and dirty and have a lot of blood and crazy shit. I mean, I also like other kinds of movies, but for horror, yeah. Copium Poppies. I tried opium once years ago. Smoked it on top of a bowl of weed. It was aight. I've never used opioids, actually. I kept away from anything opioid, like meth, and also things like meth, crack, obviously like fentanyl and stuff. My biggest problem is that the drug that I overdosed on was legal at the time. It was marketed as perfectly fine. JWH 018, free-based, in a corncob pipe, actually. That was a mistake. But it wasn't that big a mistake, though, because it set me on the road to being what I am today. I dropped out of university, and ended up becoming a YouTuber instead. I think that I've had a little bit more success than I would have had flipping burgers. No offense to people that have to flip burgers, because in this economy, you take what you can fucking get. Skippy, where a woman has teeth down there and it bites. Oh, I've never heard of that. It's a horror movie called Teeth. I'll have to look that up too. Oh, it's a comedy horror. Yeah, that sounds like something down my alley. She can bite dudes' dicks off. All right, that sounds funny. I really like comedy horror or horror comedy. Like mainly comedy, but also with horror overlapping. Like Scary Movie 2 is one of my favorites. I love the weed scene where that black dude's like, petting the little weed plant on the head and puts it over, and then it turns into a giant weed plant, and then it rolls him up in his blanket and smokes him. He's like, hold the hit, and then it blows out. Oh man, yeah. My favorite character from that movie, by the way. Randall Flagg. They did not like them being raging shitlibs, but I suspect it was their anti-Zionism. Thoughts? I'll copy that, and I'll see what you're referring to. Oh yeah, with Ben and Jerry's. Yes, part of it was that they were trying to block the sale of Ben and Jerry's to Israel, actually. To areas in Palestine that were administered by Israel, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you gotta realize Ben and Jerry, they're hardcore leftoids. Jerry apparently more hardcore than Ben. And it wasn't just that. I mean, he's complaining about Trump and everything else, and it's like, dude, made an ice cream company. Why don't you fucking sell ice cream and shut the fuck up? You have your freedom of speech, but if the parent company that you sold your franchise to, willingly, of your own accord, tells you, because it's not in the contract that you can do otherwise if they say so, is telling you, knock it off, knock it off. And if you decide to rage quit, I mean, you're like, what, 80 years old now or some shit anyway? Who gives a fuck? Can't get enough of it. Anton, you should try, as a joke, making Bovrite flavored ice cream. Then sell it in Japan. Oh, they'd eat it. They've got like fish flavored ice cream and ketchup ice cream and mustard ice cream and everything ice cream. Be funny if they took the essences of like 1,000 different foods, and the Japanese are the only ones that would have the skill to do this probably, then put it all in the ice cream batch and see what its flavor is. So it's got literally every taste possible. Like all of the herbs, it's got meat and it's got fish sauce and fruits and vegetables and everything. It's like a meal in the ice cream. And then don't even bother sugaring it. Just literally say, well, here's your frozen meal. Fuck you. That would actually be interesting. Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. You could probably find a niche market for something like that. It might be like a fad food, like the One Chip Challenge or something like that. But it would probably do fairly well if somebody had the investment to actually make that a thing. They could probably get a lot of people on board. It would end up becoming the next challenge for the Gen Zers. It'd be becoming like the One Chip Challenge or something like that. You remember the Charlie Challenge and how funny that was? I had to talk about that when that was a thing. People were worried that their kids are going to get like possessed by the devil or something, or get into dark magic. They thought it would possess them like a Ouija board could. And it's like, I guess if I remember correctly, you say, Charlie, are you here? And then you balance two pencils together and the top pencil will start spinning. I tried to explain to people that's because of the extremely frictionless surface on the pencils so that even the slightest breath of air would move it. But some people did not believe me. I actually had to explain that very basic physical concept to a bunch of teenagers. It was fun times, let me tell you. I can't wait until the next time something like that happens. What's the current parents absurdly and obsessedly scared for their children thing going on right now? Can anyone give me a heads up? Because, yeah, there's the Charlie Challenge, and then Ouija boards have been a perennial thing. What's the new one? Ben Bacon, legalize opium now. We cannot live on the weakness of weed and the toxicity of alcohol forever. True. I will not partake in the opium, but I don't mind if you do. I think that, oh yeah, Labubu's, I guess, is the current one. They think that those Labubu dolls, the ones that look like little, like, gremlins or something, and they're hideous, and I would think that they would scare the average small child more than anything else. Apparently, some people are saying that they're basically, like, totemically related to demons or something. I had to make a video about that, too. Trust me, Labubus are not going to possess your child with the devil, or anything like that. I would like to believe that demons have better taste than to inhabit such an object. I'd be more worried about possible toxic chemicals. China's been caught before putting them in toys, so. Salty Ironworker, do you think people especially like Destiny and Hassan say the most outrageous crap just to get noticed? Yeah, I do. You know, like a child who cries for attention, or do you think they truly believe what they say? How's the family? Family is good, thankfully. Yeah, I think that they're just attention whores. I believe that Destiny is an attention whore. I mean, he cucks himself on live streams and stuff like that and has a bizarre obsession with certain other sexual proclivities. And he tends to lean into these issues just to get attention. That's the whole name of the game. There's no such thing as negative attention when that's the only thing that you crave anyway. Maybe he gets off on it. I think that maybe he's got a humiliation fetish because he's been humiliated in virtually every debate he's ever had. I like how his fans say, oh, Destiny's never lost a debate. Watch several of them. If by talking over your debate opponent more often than they talk over you is the standard of victory, then Destiny par excellence is absolutely in the top 10 list. If you mean meaningful conversations which stick to the subject or things directly related to it, and reasoned arguments that actually would make sense to a person of at least average intelligence, he falls flat. Basically, it's one of those cult of personality things. No, this person's arguing for sort of the same things that I like because I'm a fucking freak, and so obviously they're intelligent. It's like I've seen people that generally agree with me on numerous issues that I really like as commentators, and I like their news coverage and stuff, but they can't debate their way out of a fucking paper bag. Same thing. I prefer generally not to talk about people like that, or Vaush. You know, Vaush, she's basically the same, an attention whore. Also paid for, supposedly, by the British government in part. Ramon C. GTC, remember when Pokemon was the devil? Yeah, I remember, and Harry Potter. I remember when I was going to church, because my mom dragged me along. I wasn't really particularly fervent myself, but I was technically a Christian at the time in the religious sense. There was a family there. I won't name names or anything like that. They had like 6 daughters, and they banned their oldest daughter, who was sort of the rebel of the family, and I thought she was cool, actually. She was a couple years younger than me, and she wanted to read Harry Potter, to the point she became so obsessed with it, she actually put a cot up underneath the stairs in a little closet and lived like Harry Potter for a while. And I felt sorry for her. But they thought it would cause the devil to enter your body or make you into a witch or something. And in her case, she did become a gothy rocker chick, so yeah, I mean, I guess that they were technically right on that count. As last check, they had 8 daughters. Very, very prolific people. Probably all of which by now have wandered off and said, fuck this shit. The wife in the family, she said that she didn't like drums because she thought they sounded demonic. But yeah, that was the Harry Potter scare. Schools were, pressured to ban the books from the schools. I had the same reaction then as I had with Pokemon, which is I said, hey, the kids are reading the cards. They're learning how to read more. And some of these words are something that might be outside of their vocabulary. To play the game, they're going to need to learn the words. This is good for them. It builds literacy. You should encourage them to play more, but you should have a Pokemon League at the school. Same with Harry Potter. My reaction was like, you've got people in education, or who are concerned with education, who don't want their kids to be educated. It's like the biggest book ever. Literally everybody's fucking talking about fucking Harry Potter, and you're trying to ban it from the school? The only problem is that the school will have to order multiple copies in order for multiple people to actually take them out at the same time from the school library. Yeah, I mean, there have been so many moral panics over time. I mean, even when you look at the drug war and stuff, I was told all throughout my childhood that I would be given free drugs from people. They would just hand me drugs and say, "Hey, kid, take this. It'll make the lights go," and stuff like that. Make mushrooms grow on your eyes, man. You can fly. But if you want to fly, you gotta buy. But here's a free sample. I was told that would happen regularly. Never happened to me. I feel conned. I feel gypped. I feel conned because nobody ever gave me free drugs when I was 10 years old. Yeah. What I missed out on. I guess I had to go to the inner city to get free drugs from the friendly dude in the white hoodie on the corner. "Hey, what's that white powder?" "Oh man, you want some?" "Yeah." Yeah, apparently I was born too late to enjoy the free drugs, I guess. I mean, that's the thing. It's bullshit. That never happened. If I'm a drug dealer, do you really think that I want to deal drugs to somebody who's going to have to steal money out of their mom's purse in order to actually purchase them? Potentially getting caught, implicating me. "Oh yeah, Mom, I had to grab this money because this dude on the corner, he has this white thing, this white powder. Makes me feel really good." "Oh, 911, got an emergency here." Yeah, that dude on the corner, yeah, he's selling coke. You might want to shake him down. BW, Black Castle serves chicken and watermelon combo with large Kool-Aid. Yep. I would mention a very, very funny video about black stereotypes, but the title would not allow me to do that on a YouTube live stream. Just look up, well, you know the actual word. Just look up N-word eating watermelon. It's an older video, and it's hilarious. Yeah, Moskvich, yeah, walk up to the dealer and ask for free samples. Yeah. "Hey, I would like to buy cocaine, but I need to make sure that it's good cocaine first, if you know what I'm saying." Reminds me of that scene from that one House MD episode, where that one lesbian chick there, they're checking out the cocaine to see if it was tainted, and that was the responsible for the patient's problem. And he hands her some coke, and she's like, "No, no, 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 I don't mean the coke that you give to newbies. I mean the street coke." And I can't remember which other doctor was with her at the time. It was like, how did you know to do that? And she's like, just looks at him, insinuating that she liked coke. Myself, I have never even seen cocaine. I am not interested in any form of drugs, actually, anymore. Not really, it's just, my party days are over as far as that's concerned. I've got many other forms of amusement. Urarfa Kingdom. I can't feel my face. I can touch it. Wow. 420, man. Now we've devolved into talking about drugs. It's all good. Anyways, though, I do have to go offline now because I want to do a little bit of docketing, and then I've got to get to my writing, of course, and I do need to water that peach tree and do a little bit of work in the herb bed out there. Otherwise, it's going to die completely in this drought. It's so dry out there, everything's starting to wilt, and not interested, my dude. So, yeah. I will be online tomorrow with yet another news live stream. We'll have some more news, some more bants. I'll try to fill it up here preemptively. Usually I get like 5 or 6 the day before, and then, you do the breaking news of the day actually too. So, that's about all. Peace out.